Én, amikor néhány hónappal ezelőtt találkoztam Garyvel, és elmondta, hogy milyen fába vágta a fejszéjét, azt mondtam, hogy ez nem semmi. Governor, nice to meet you. How are you? I just want you to know if there's anybody in this room who's not nice to you, you let me know and I will kick their butt, okay?
You look like a very dangerous guy.
Bless you. Just like to ask you a couple questions. You've illustrious career, unbelievable successes. Most of us have read and firmly believe in the 6 rules, but sometimes still you must face a little bit of failure, even if it's not major failure. What do you do or what do you tell yourself to come up from a point where you may be headed down? You're human too. I think you're human too.
I think that I stay exactly with what I said. The most important thing is when you know where you're going, it doesn't matter if you fail, because we all fail. There's no such thing in life as just always getting your way and doing everything exactly the way you've planned it. I remember that when I was in Sacramento and I was governor, everything was perfect. We passed one legislation after the next, everything was on a roll, and then all of a sudden, I called a special election to have 4 things changed. One of them was the budget, because we really had a budget crisis. And all 4 initiatives were voted down by the people. I didn't expect that at all. So it was a real setback. But that was one of those things where I failed. I obviously did not communicate well with the people or well enough so they understood what I was trying to do. Or they didn't feel like I worked with the legislators, with Democrats and Republicans well enough. Whatever the reasons were, I failed. But I got up again. And a year later, I won the governorship again with an overwhelming majority, and I brought everyone together and showed to them that I can work together and bring everybody together. So we have failures. The key thing is that you see a goal. For me, my goal was to make California a great shining place again, where we build the infrastructure, where we create great health care, and where we help really, literally everyone and serve Democrats and Republicans, young and old, and no matter what the race is and the religion and all this. That was the idea. And we were very successful in doing that, including improving our environmental policies in such a way that we really are now a shining example to the whole world. So we were successful. So the vision is always the important thing there. We do fail. The key thing, as I said earlier, is those that stay down are the losers. Those that get back up again and continue marching forward, dust themselves off and continue marching forward, are the winners.
Wow, I love that. That, I think, deserves a round of applause. So what's your advice? There are some people in here who are young, they're middle-aged people, people like myself who are teenagers. What's your advice to them? I mean, because it sounds great, but some people are probably still sitting there teetering, wondering, how in the world do I develop that vision? What do you give them as start-off advice?
I think my kids, I always tell them, sit down and don't listen to what your mother tells you and what your daddy tells you and what your uncle tells you and what your grandfather tells you, whoever it is. You have to figure out for yourself. You can take all of our advice, but you have to figure out what is it that you're passionate about. Is it acting? Is it that you want to be rich and famous, that you want to get and make money and lead a great business life? Is it that you want to maybe become a priest? What is your goal? It doesn't matter what we think. What is it you feel very strongly about? And I think that if we spend time on thinking and searching deep inside rather than being on the iPhone and on the iPad and then listening to the music all day long, all of this is not going to help you. What helps you is if you get in touch with yourself and find out what are your desires. What is it that you want to do? And sometimes that takes time to do that. But you have to find out what it is that is deep inside you, because I always was very fortunate because I had the time and I didn't have the radio and the television and the iPad and the iPhone and the internet and all this. I didn't have any of that. So there was quietness. So I had time to think. And I always discovered my passions, even though they were kind of very strange in the rest of the world around me. And everyone thought, this guy is a little crazy. You know, that he's way out there with his dreams. They're not normal dreams and all this. So I always got that kind of a reaction, but I didn't care because I knew that for me it was real and I chased those dreams. I tell you something, guys, that my mother, after I was 15 years old and I decided I want to be another Reg Park and I want to be a Mr. Universe, I hung pictures on my bedroom wall all over of Reg Park and of strongman and Sonny Liston, of boxers and Muhammad Ali, and all of those guys were hanging up there. And my mother was so upset that she called the doctor, our house doctor. He came in and she started crying and she says, "Where did I go wrong, doctor? Look at this wall. My son has naked pictures of men all oiled up. And all his friends have pictures of women on their walls. And here's the man, naked man. Where did I go wrong? What is going on here?" So this is how upset my mother was about the direction I was going, but I was a fanatic. I wanted to wake up to Reg Park. I wanted to wake up to Sonny Liston, to Muhammad Ali. I wanted to wake up to men that were training 6-7 hours a day because that's what gave me inspiration. I knew what I needed. My mother didn't know. My mother was just going around and saying, "Oh, I mean, this is going to be a disaster with this kid. He's turning out the wrong way. And where did we go wrong with our upbringing and all this?" But I mean, I didn't care. So that's what I'm saying is you have to find out what is your passion and then you have to chase that passion.
You've had the great opportunity to live in 2 different continents, much like myself. So I'm from that side and have been living over here. What do you think the biggest difference is? Why is it that the U.S. for some reason continues to just plow forward and overcome its obstacles and the rest of the world just doesn't get that recipe?
Oh, well, first of all, let me just say that America, to me, the United States has always been the #1 country in the world. It is just, a shining example, even though one has to be honest that we have our own problems. We have right now a legislature that is not very willing to work together. Democrats don't like the Republicans don't like the Democrats, and we have a president that somehow cannot bring both of the parties together, even though there's a will there, but I mean, it's not happening right now. So we do have our problems. But luckily, we always pull out. We had an economic slump, and now America is back again with a great 3.6% GDP growth. And so we are coming out of that mess. And I think the stock market is its highest with over 18,000 that it's ever been. So we are doing well. But we do have our problems, and we still have to solve a lot of those problems. But America is the #1 place, and I've seen it firsthand. It's the land of opportunity, and I think it's the open-mindedness. It's just that people have always a big vision. Everyone encourages to be kind of independent thinking and to think big. I know the difference between in Austria, when I grew up in Austria, versus going to America. This kind of open-minded thinking, and then in Europe, a lot of times people are jealous when you're successful. They want everyone to be down on the same level. In America, everyone wants to lift up. And when someone says, "I want to be a millionaire," then they say, "Oh, that's great. I love your positive attitude. Love it. Attaboy." So that's the attitude that they have over there in America. So, it is a great place, and I love it. And that's why I said it was important to me to give something back to that country, because it is such a very unique place. And but we have to improve our education system. We have to improve our university system. We have to improve our environmental policies. There's a lot of things that we also have to do over there in America.
Great. Just for 1 second, Gary, you wanted to make an announcement?
Yeah, thank you very much. Tehát, hölgyeim és uraim, akinek van ezüst vagy narancsárga karszalagja, és még nem kapta meg a fotóját, a 106-os szektornál legyen szíves gyülekezni. A szervezők csekkolják a neveket, tehát csak kizárólag az, akinek van narancsárga és szürke karszalagja. So, Governor, I also have one question. This was a hard project, and we did it. And I went by your 6 rules all the time. And do you get these in general, that people go by your rules and all of a sudden they end up showing you that it was the right thing to do?
Well, as much as I have told Reg Park that he was my inspiration and I did exactly what he did, training 5 hours a day, and I grew up poor just like him and all this, and that he was the cause for my inspiration and for me to become a world champion in bodybuilding and all this. This is how much I also inspire others. And so I have had people that came to me that stood on a stage in Columbus, Ohio, where we have the Arnold Classic, or in Vegas, where we have the Mr. Olympia competition. And they come up to me afterwards and they say to me, 15 years ago, I watched you hand out a trophy to this champion. And I was up there, way up there on the balcony, and I watched you talking about bodybuilding and pumping up the bodybuilders. And here we are, 15 years later, now I'm Mr. Olympia. So it is, for me, the greatest honor that I can inspire others, because I think that we have this responsibility. I don't feel that if you become a celebrity, you should just use that for stupid reasons. You should use the celebrity power that we have to inspire other people, to motivate them to be successful, or to motivate them to become great educators, or to be great environmentalists, or to go into public service, or to reach out and to serve other people, or whatever it is. We should use it for some reason that is really good. That is our responsibility, and that's what I'm trying to do with the power that I have and the power of influence that I have, is to go around the world and to give speeches like this to motivate people. And like I said, they go into different directions as motivational speeches, but to motivate people and to just be better, because I got affected by so many other people that were my inspiration. I mean, when I think about Ronald Reagan, when I sat with him and he talked about public service to me, I said to myself, I got to do this. I got to do this. He inspired me. You know, there were so many, President Bush, I just had last week lunch with President Bush, the first. He was president between 1989 and 1993. And I served as the chairman of the President's Council on Fitness. He's now 91 years old. And I sat there with Barbara, who is around 90 now. And I sat there in Houston, Texas with them having lunch. But I wanted to have lunch with him because I wanted to tell him once again that sitting with him in the Oval Office at the White House and watching him being a public servant and the impact that he had had on me, I wanted to thank him that he was responsible for getting me into public policy, into public office, and become governor and all that stuff. So I had so many people that inspired me. And so, as I said, my father-in-law, Sergeant Shriver, who started the Peace Corps, he inspired me. I mean, there were so many. Mikhail Gorbachev, Ronald Reagan, Mother Teresa, I mean, the list goes on. Mandela. I mean, think about that. The man that was in prison for 27 years, and then he's let out, and not to look for revenge, but to go and say, no, we have to do what is best for our country, for South Africa. We got to reunite whites and blacks and all the different colors and religions. That's how our country becomes great. That is something to learn from. You get inspired by that, about forgiveness. You learn about forgiveness. So, you know, so I want to be what those people were to me. I want to be to other people.
So I have a present for you from this young gentleman here. He's actually 17 years old, and about 5 years ago, he had cancer. And he went by your rules. He started working out. He keeps his body in shape, and he wants to thank you for giving him his life back.
Thank you very much. Thank you. What's your name?
Kásó Tibor. Tibor Kásó.
How long did you have cancer?
Hát egy fél évig.
Well, you look fantastic to me. Let's see the guns. Let's see the arm. Wow, look at this. Give him a hand for the, look at his biceps. Fantastic. Thank you. What do you have here?
Szeretném aláíratni.
He would like to have you sign
If you
it,
could
please.
sign
And
that. Is that ours? Okay.
Barátom, jó barátom, az nekem.
A good friend of his drew that.
És szeretném kitenni a terembe.
Well,
Aláíratni.
tell your friends that he drew my biceps bigger than they are. Thank you.
Here's a thing.
Hölgyeim és uraim, Tibor a Csodalámpa Alapítvány növendéke.
De milyen teremben?
Thank you, Governor.
And he'd
Thank
like
you in the
permission
name of
to be able
Tibor.
to put this on the wall. De milyen falra? Milyen teremben?
Az edzőteremben.
Yeah, so he wants to put this on the wall of his fitness center is Jim.
Yeah,
Great.
Have fun.
Thank you very much. This is the foundation. There's a foundation in Hungary that follows the model of Make-A-Wish in the U.S. And so we try to make wishes come true, and for him, this was his wish to meet his idol, and his wishes come true.
It's a dessert. And what it basically means is I would have to do another 250 sit-ups when I eat this, right?
Oh, it's
Thank
low
you
cal.
very much.
Low
Exactly,
cal.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
So, I mean, you look fantastic, right? And I hope your mom forgives me for saying that about a guy, but you look fantastic. So what's the next big thing? I mean, you got energy, you got vision. What's the next thing you can dedicate your life to?
Well, you know, when I left the movie business, Terminator 3, I said, I'll be back. And so now I'm back in the movie business. As this summer, my movie Terminator 5 is coming out, Genesis. And so I'm now combining all the different worlds. I'm doing the lecturing as a professor at USC. I have my institute. I do my environmental crusade, my fitness crusade. I do movies and make good money. So I'm a happy camper. Thank you very much.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have a lot of questions, but I'm not sure how much time you got, you know, because you got to be back, right? Are you planning to come back to Hungary?
I always will come back here. I love this city. Budapest is such a historic city. I mean, I don't know if it was a bad idea to split the two, Austria and Hungary. I think they should still be together. But I mean, that's besides the point. That's besides the point. But the fact of the matter is I've really great friends here. And it's such a spectacular place. And you know, my history to Hungary goes back to 1956, when Russia came into Hungary and crushed Hungary and its spirit for a while. And my father was a police officer, and he was in charge of a camp where the Hungarians, the Flüchtlinge, went to. It was near our village. And my father made us, my brother and me, to serve soup and food for the Hungarian refugees for 1 week until they moved on to Canada and America and to other places. But I remember that we were serving, you know, soup and food there in this kitchen at this camp. And so this was the first time when we met Hungarian friends, my brother and I, and ever since I have been having a great joy with my Hungarian friends. So it is great to be here again, and I'll be back, I promise you.
Egy kicsit hangosabban, hölgyeim és uraim, Arnold Schwarzenegger! Governor, thank you very much for being with us.